Yes guys, I'm back with another one. Today we're going to have a little look through BTC. Usual scenario, we're going to have a little look at USDT dominance, see where we're going in that. Have a little look at a few other things as well, and just have a little look how I generally look to see, multiple confluences in a trade. Like I've said before about the scalping, it can be good. You just need to know how to trade, when to trade, and looking at certain metrics to tell you that coin's either going to be going up or it's going to be going down. So yeah, let's get straight into it, guys. So BTC, let's have a little look. That's just the ADX. Now I've got it set on just standard settings. You can also add something else to it here. It's just a metric to tell you, what, we're trending, we're not trending, we're trending. But if you actually have a little look at these moves with the ADX, we're trending there, we're coming back down, we're putting in a lower high in the ADX there. We're never putting a lower low, putting a lower high, and then we've gone off. But if you actually look at the metrics, every time that we've done that new high, we've been putting in lower highs. Here, around this zone, we did put in a higher high from this area here. So are we creating a local bottom, or are we going to get that last little flush in? This creates another lower high in here on the ADX into here when we have that flush, and then we start to trend up again. If you look here, what I've previously been looking at, we put in the low here, and then we went sideways. We put in another lower low, but price put in the lower high. So we did have that slight divergence here. So that could have been, your long into that zone there. So that's just a quick one on the ADX. And it is a really good metric. It really is a good metric. So we will look at that. And this is where we could be getting something like this sort of move here. We put the lower high in over here. The ADX puts the lower low in, and then away we go. So just a little bit of a food for thought with that simple indicator, simple metric. Just have a little look at. But currently at the minute, BTC still below that 200 BMA in here. We've not had that move like I wanted back in here, but like I say, this could still play out the way it's going to play out here. Push back up, everybody gets excited again in November, December, and then in January, February, it has that final push down into March, and then off we go in 2027. So I know a lot of people think, oh, we're going to go back to this, we're going to go back to that. I don't think we're going to do that this year. We're going to potentially put this low in, local high, and then move down into here, into 2027, into around March, April, May, June, and then we're going to have that big move off, September, October, and then we push. That's my thoughts on BTC at the minute. Currently, what's going on? USDT dominance. Still expecting this sort of chop around in here, which is going to do that move on BTC when I can get back to it. you know, that chop in there, that move up, USDT dominance does this, flushes in towards these areas, and then we do that. And then BTC does something very, very similar. We can also get the volume profile from that major low and have a little look. Here we've got the volume bump here. This is why I think we're going to come back towards the gap and then eventually lose it and then sweep into here and hold that node. If we are going to go any lower, we do have another supporting node here. And unfortunately, the point of control is down at about 17k, but I don't think we're going to go as low as that. Oh, the mic went on one. My apologies. We have a little look at this move here. See, if you look, the point of control was there. We never came to it. We missed that point of control around 40%. So if we do come into this zone, it's around 57% the point of control miss. And we did have that big volume bump right here, but we also had these little volume bumps, just like here. These little volume bumps where people will start to accumulate a little bit more BTC. So that's my personal opinion on BTC at the minute. I'd still want to see that move there coming into October, which is going to fake people out. We'll get that move in October. People are going to be like, yeah, BTC's bullish. Not understanding the actual trend is still down, and that will be a lower high into this zone, and then we come down. Final flush, sweep up, put in this here, a lower high in there, and then away we go. High, low, lower high, whatever you want to call it. That's what I think with BTC. Dominance at the minute, sideways action on dominance. Not a lot going on right now. You know what? People have been expecting this all season. Like I said to you before, alts, day trade alts, yeah, but I wouldn't really be interested in alts at the minute. This is what I was looking at in S&P 500. Little channel moving down into here. Could take a while. And then eventually we do have the move away. You know, this could rocket towards these areas. The Dixie, which I did have pointed out here. Also, what I want to look at, have a little look yesterday. What did it come in at? The same, yeah. It just held the same. I don't think that's good for the markets, personally. I really do think that we are going to have some sort of rate hike at some point, which is going to move the market the way I've just pointed out. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. You know, I'm just, you know, I'm trading probabilities. I'm trying to see where the market could potentially be going. But yeah, that's what I'm going to be looking at. So another thing I want to point out for your day trading. So I called one in the group. USDT.P Dexy. So I called this in the group. Let's remove all that a minute, yeah. So with this, I'm on the daily. I can even drop into the hourly. And I can have a look, right? This move here, from here to here, let's look at what it actually did. I'm going to have to shorten that down. Or increase it, maybe. Nope, I increased it a bit too much there. Do 50. Right. So this move here that we had, I'm going to decrease it a little bit more here. Do 20. So this move we had here, volume did not start developing up here. Enough volume to sustain the move continuously up. I think what it did, go to the weekly, yeah, it just took out the high. That's it. And what you'll see with a lot of these altcoins, that's generally what they do. They take the high and then eventually start to drop and potentially take the low. So I was looking at this chart here, and that move there, that's the old value area high. We also had a volume gap. So I'll mark out that high, mark out the gap, because I know there's no trading activity whatsoever in the gap. That gap there. And then I'm looking at the low. So point of control as TP, value area low, main TP. It's not got there yet. But along the way, I'm going to be looking at these gaps. So which we are in right now and rejected off of that gap. I've also got another gap just below us here. So from that whole move. So I called it and said I wanted to short around 21.5, I think it was. Let's have a little look where it was. It were up here. So I'd also looked at I think it was Friday. I can't remember when I called it. I'm sure it was Friday when I called it. Let me just get it up on my phone. I'll just get it up on Discord, actually. Get it up on Discord. And have a little look at why I've called that. So, go into here. Go into my journal. Let's have a little look at Dexy. Okay. So, I will look in here around this zone at around 21,413. Okay. 21,413 is around here. So what I had, so that's Wednesday, Thursday, Monday, and then back towards this Monday here. So I had this volume profile marked out for the previous week, okay? And I was looking at the volume profile, and I noticed there was a heavy volume bump here, there was a gap, and the point of control was sat around 1991. So what I was looking at, I seen the value area high were here. So I had that marked out. The heavy volume node here marked out. And thought if we go up to around 21.5-ish area, there's a potential for a rejection at that zone. The reason for support, resistance, resistance. Seeing many wicks forming up in here. Thought, right, that could be the move. And what I were aiming for was the volume that was sat here. So I've got the gaps. I've got the volume nodes from here to here. And what I did was, I thought, right, we are getting rejected off of that zone. So if I put a short in here, 21.5, I think it was, my stop can go above that value area high and that wick there. And I can aim technically for the high volume node down into here. 14.20. I think that was the main target. 14.169. So around 14.2. Around 14.2. So that was my main target, 14.2. That trade there took what we're looking at here. So from entry, when did it hit? Yesterday. That trade took 5 days. And it was an absolute monster move of around 34%. So you put that in and you only times it by, I don't know, you just put a 10 or a 5 in. 340%, 170% in a times 5, something like that. And it's not difficult that to do. Pretty simple to do. You know, and this is what I'm trying to tell people. Like today, what I'll do is, if I'm looking at this coin again, it's had a major move down. So I'm going to look at the current weekly volume profile. No, last week's volume profile, sorry. Which is here to here. Yeah? So that's last week's volume profile. I don't know why it keeps doing that. I'm going to go lower to 10. So that is last week's volume profile. I know there's a heavy volume bump there. And look. So that's my heavy volume bump there. Point of control's in there. Look at what it did at 12 o'clock yesterday. It came into that bump. It tried to push the bump and failed. Pretty simple. So then, say I've got a volume profile on from the 16th, the 17th. I can see also the value area low is here, just above that volume bump. If we reclaim that value area low, my trade is invalidated. But I'm going to be going short at the point of control. And my stop's going to be above the volume bump. And then I'm going to be aiming for the main target, which is down in here. That would be the main target. And the risk to reward is unbelievable. So even just dropping down into the 5 minute from the 1 hour, looking at that volume profile, you know, I can see that heavy volume bump is there. We're rejecting 1, 2, 3. The 200 EMA is traveling down. So a lot of people are going to look, oh, it's an engulfing bullish candle. I'm not seeing that. What I'm seeing is, I'm seeing that this move here and this push back towards that heavy volume bump where there was volume accumulating here, there was buyers. They're thinking now, if we cannot push the next heavy volume bump or the gap, then we are going to be going back down, which we never pushed. Also, you've got the added confluence of the 200 EMA coming down, tagging into it. volume bump, tagging into it, and down we go. Pretty simple. So your trade's there. I'm still leaving it above that value area high. And my main target is still down into here. It's still a 4.5 risk to reward. Yeah, we've not hit the main target yet. But from that entry, your first target is the major volume bump from previously. Back in here. So there's your first target. That is 10%. Second target is the lower end of it, of the volume. Your second target from entry, 20%. Main target is another 10% down. So it's 10, 10, 10. Pretty simple when you look at the way I'm looking at charts. You don't need your chart to look like an aircraft, a control unit. If I'm being honest with you, you really don't. But like today's profile, well, I'm looking at yesterday's profile. You give me today's levels. So this here is yesterday's profile. Let me just remove them drawings 1 minute. Yesterday's profile. Bit fidgety. So, volume bump. Tick. In here. It's a big bump as well. Tried to push the volume bump. Failed to push the volume bump. The only downfall to this now is that EMA. Because that EMA at this yesterday's value area low is now pointing up. So we do have a potential to fill the gap back towards this zone here. If we look at current day's profile, which is still developing, remember, we are above the value area high. Getting back into here, that's the potential move that could occur in DEXA. So that's what you've got to think about now. Yesterday, volume bump. We're in the volume bump. Today, still not fully developed. Volume bump here. It's not going to be a good risk to reward. Even if you go long here at the high, your stops down here. And there's your target. It's a 1 to 6. Not really something I really want to be risking. But this is what you've got to be looking at. And I've got I've got these that I use in my own. It's just my own thing. There's only me in this. These are my missed trades. I always write my missed trades. These are my short trades. Lab. Pretty poor, to be honest with you. That never hit. H, hit full TP. We had hype. I think I'd already put my target in profit in hype. So I wasn't too bothered about that. But, like I'm saying, you can make trading so much easier for yourself without having 3,400 indicators on. You don't need them all on there. You really don't need them all on there. That's just my take on what's going to occur. If you look in here, these are big buying candles. really big buying candles. So that move there could well occur at some point today. We've also got to look at BTC. So if we're looking at BTC, how's BTC acting? Got another one there. You know, BTC at the minute, how's it acting? We just move that 1 minute. See that there? We're a big buyer. This is why we bounced there. Obviously, the news yesterday as well did affect it. At the minute, currently, there's no more big buyers coming in that I can see. You know, 175 sell there. Currently, at the minute, there's no big buyers coming in. What I like to see is that at the bottom, you know, people are shorting it at the value area low. It's a silly move to do. It comes back down into here and then pushes off. It's just a really, really silly move to do. Just like what I want to see at the tops here. I want to see somebody buying at the top here, and then the caught, they're struggling, and then they've got to sell. You know, at the top, I want to see a sell. Candle closing below, bam, bam, bam. Down she comes. You know, I want to see the buy at the bottom. If I see a sell at the bottom, I'm going to think about, right, this potentially could be a trade. You know, in the middle of a candle, not really too bothered, and it's at the high. I want to see a sell coming in here, a big sell, retrace, move away, showing wicks like we had down in here. Where is it? In here, showing wicks. I'm not taking it there. I'm waiting. Wick, 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 bang. Move on. This is what you've got to be looking at. You know, here, sell at the bottom, push back up, it closed below. Sellers are back in control. Big volume bump. Wick, 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 and then down she comes. Pretty easy. You don't want to see that at the bottom. So just a little bit of food for thought for everyone. You know, you can make trading so much easier for yourself without thinking I need to take 57 trades that day to make X amount, because I don't do that. You know, I think this week I've made 3%. This month so far I'm up 13%. I'm in no rush, so just relax, take your time with these trades. So that's my food for thought today. Just think about what you're doing in trading. Also, I was just thinking about it. YouTube's so hard to get people to comment, and it's going to get even harder because of the British government and all these try to ban social media, and you've got to prove how old you are and things like that. So please try get some comments in the comment section below, guys. Try and get me out there. Try and push this video out as much as you can. But I appreciate you all. All the links are in the description below. And I will catch you in the next one. Happy trading, guys.